The second Global Biofortification Conference may recommend to the United Nations that a year between 2018 and 2020 may be observed as the International Year of Biofortified and Underutilized Crops. This will be an important step in meeting the Zero Hunger Challenge by 2025, since biofortified crops help to address simultaneously both undernutrition and malnutrition. The future belongs to nations with grains and not guns. In other words, investment will be much wiser because the nations which are going to be powerful in the future are those which have got grains and not just guns alone. The interesting thing with biofortification is it answers all the three dimensions at the same time. It takes care, for example, a sweet potato which has got vitamin A. It also provides the calories and so on. It takes care of undernutrition. It takes care of protein hunger. It takes care also micronutrient deficiencies. So in biofortification, you have this double advantage of answering several questions together. I then coined the term evergreen revolution, because green revolution is another term for increase in productivity, increase in production through the productivity pathway, not through area expansion, through productivity pathway, and that is the only option available to most developing countries. Land is a shrinking resource for agriculture. World requires 50% more rice in 2030 than in 2004, with approximately 30% less arable land. This is the challenge, 30% less arable land today. Mainstreaming ecology and technology development and dissemination is the road to sustainable agriculture, or what I call evergreen revolution. Now, in evergreen revolution, is it possible, you can ask? At least in the case of wheat in India, we are moving in that direction. We were producing 7 million tons of wheat in 1947. This year, unfortunately, there have been some hailstorms. Agriculture is a highly risky profession. Hailstorms came and unseasonal rain. But nevertheless, year after year, the production is going up. Without affecting soil fertility. This is what you call evergreen revolution. And our target is 150 million tons of wheat from 30 million hectares. That is 5 tons per hectare. But there's no time to relax. Talking about green revolution or evergreen revolution is all right. They are all important accomplishments which gave us confidence that we can overcome, like Martin Luther King, we shall overcome these problems of hunger and so on. That confidence is important. At the same time, there are so many problems: avoiding food losses, climate change, which is now, the latest report is rather frightening, the IPCC report, shrinking per capita land and water resources, expanding biotic and abiotic stresses, adverse cost risk return structure of farming, market volatility, and above all, the younger generation, because most developing countries, the majority of population are young people. They don't want to talk agriculture. It becomes the older people leave it to. So unless agriculture becomes economically interesting and also technologically exciting, the younger generation won't come. This is why, both in terms of technological progress as well as economic progress, it becomes important. Biofortification and the Zero Hunger Challenge, I said I would personally anchor the biofortification in the context of achieving the goal of zero hunger by 2025. There are three groups of biofortified plants: naturally occurring biofortified plants. Nature itself has so many biofortified plants. That means over a long period of selection, hybridization, biofortified plants occur in nature. Biofortified varieties selected by breeding, for example, iron-rich pearl millet, zinc-rich rice, and so on. Taking African context, agroforestry is a very important area. Of course, we have ICRAF in Nairobi. In biofortification, I want to anchor now biofortification in different farming systems, One is the agroforestry farming system. There you can add, for example, in India, moringa, drumstick, 25 times the iron in spinach, 17 times the calcium in milk, 15 times the potassium in bananas, and so on. This is from National Geographic latest edition, which so shows a recent issue of Science from the US called the Breadfruit. The Breadfruit Institute has found that the perennial trees produce more food in dry weight per hectare than corn, rice, or wheat, a fruit rich in iron, potassium, vitamin A. In other words, then, in the agroforestry system, you add the dimension of biofortification, a biofortified food in the agroforestry system. The pearl millet is shown, a whole series of crops. In other words, as climate change threatens us, we'll have to diversify our crops. There are climate smart and nutrient-rich crops in many of these millets. We call them both nutrient-rich and climate-smart plants. Like any other country, African countries also have a multidimensional program because it's a multidimensional problem, and therefore you can't have a unidimensional, including drinking water. Many others are important. For example, we have a large horticulture mission. The National Horticulture Mission of India aims to provide horticultural remedies to nutritional maladies. As a result of this mission, the production of fruits and vegetables has gone over 270 million tons. Everybody yesterday also it was talked about the sweet potato. This is what I said. You have double advantage here. You have the problem of solving undernutrition, calorie deprivation, at the same time vitamin A deficiency and so on. Biofortification gives you these multiple advantages. Quality protein maize, this is given a World Food Prize, and this is what Nirmal Seeds, the biofortification through breeding, in collaboration with ICRISAT and the CGIAR Harvest Plus. It's becoming very popular. One lesson I want to mention to you, why this is popular is not only because it's very rich in iron, it's good for your health, but also it's higher yielding. Unless you have a yield is higher, because finally the farmers, unless pricing is on basis of quality, farmers will go by quantity. Yield is important. That is why the QPM maize was discovered long ago by Oliver Nelson, which was called high lysine, high protein corn. But 1960s didn't become popular because the yield was not as good. Bangladesh is to be congratulated on the world's first high zinc rice released in Bangladesh under this collaborative program. There are many other crops of great value in terms of nutritional value and also from the point of view of climate smart conditions. Many of these tuber crops, Dioscorias, which save lives, we call them life-saving crops. Life-saving crops because during drought, during floods and so on, the women keep it under the ground and take it out. Very nutrient-rich, at the same time very high. Now there are, in the local areas, we have to design a biofortified multiple cropping system. I again want to emphasize that biofortification has to be put in the context of a farming system or a cropping system. The biofortified cropping system is a multiple cropping system. For example, one of our project areas, this lady grows high iron bajra or the pearl millet, and at the same time grows a number of legumes including what we call her locally pigeon pea, chickpea, and many of them are grown. So that you have the protein here, you have the vitamin A and so on. So design, wherever possible, a farming system, a cropping system, which is in other words, biofortified crops are included under the FSN. If you see, the biofortified crop varieties are introduced in FSN wherever available. At the same time, this takes care of the special needs of pregnant and nursing mothers and also the newborn babies. Recently, we had the 100th birth anniversary of Norman Borlaug, the great the only Nobel Prize winner in agriculture so far, Norman Borlaug, who changed the history of agriculture in the last 50 years. And just before his death, he said, yesterday I was moved by somebody who said, we must take it to the farmer, whatever science we have. Science in the laboratory alone has no meaning. Bridging the gap between scientific know-how and farmers do-how. Every country has its own methods. We had an international seminar recently in our foundation, and Dr. Ajay Pareda is here. He will be able to give you, if you want, a whole variety. But look at the 4 methods. Please look at the 4 methods you will have to design. Lab to lab, that is scientist to scientist. Lab to land, land to lab, and above all, land to land, that is farmer to farmer learning. It's a very effective method of learning. What we do is put a dormitory in a very outstanding farmer's field. Other farmers go there and stay there. And because the credibility is very high, because the economics, they believe much more from one farmer to the other, and therefore the credibility of the message is very high. And we have also other modern information technology has opened up uncommon opportunities for transferring messages at the right time, the right place, and so on. Meaningful private-public partnerships, pricing, procurement, value chain development, public distribution, and social protection. The other 6 keys to success I put. The fourth one is nutritional literacy, understanding of why it is important to have balanced diet. Nutritional literacy, I told you about the community hunger fighters who are trained in empowering the people with nutritional knowledge. And governance and synergy among food and non-food factors. In India, we have started a coalition for what we call a Nutrition Secure India. The coalition brings together all stakeholders, private, public, academic, government, non-government, every one of them. The coalition for a Nutrition Secure India. And then finally, please remember to have each program measurement of impact. Lastly, what I mentioned yesterday, we can overcome. We want to have an era of biohappiness because the biofortification comes from biological material. Biohappiness is the use of biological material for creating more jobs, income, and more nutrition. Sustainable Development Goals, Zero Hunger Challenge, biofortification the pathway. LANSA, leveraging agriculture for nutrition in South Asia, is a very effective, we have seen it as a very effective platform for partnership among Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, and also European institutions in IFPRI and so on. So the methods of partnership, and let me end by appealing the second conference held in Kigali in Rwanda will be the beginning of a new era of biohappiness. Thank you very much.